Now, when I first read the Rogue update, I hated it. After giving it almost 2 days to think about it and really see the big picture of this UA, I still dislike it, but I'm not like, oh, the Rogue is dead in the water. So that's my official stance on it. But at the same time, I'm like, why are they nerfing the Rogue in the ways that they are? Maybe it's because they were hidden tricks that new players wouldn't notice right away. And Shard pointed this out to me in an email. The Rogue gets some overall nerfs, but overall martial classes got nerfed because a lot of the feats aren't as powerful with their damage output. It might not matter so much that the Rogue got some of the nerfs it did, because maybe it remains on par with what the other martials will be doing. We'll see, especially when the warrior UA comes out. Expertise in 2 of your skill proficiencies. It used to say you could pick thieves tools as one of your expertise, and I can tell you every time I've made a rogue, I've always considered thieves tools expertise. I don't always go with it depending on the kind of rogue I'm building, but my very first character had thieves tools expertise, and it helped so much. So I mourned that if they're not going to allow that anymore. Tools now give a bonus to your check. That's right. I forgot that. Tools now can double up on, like, if you're using a skill that goes with the tool and you're also proficient with the tool, then you basically are like doubling up on your check. I forgot that. Thank you. I think I'm going to backtrack on the thieves tools not getting expertise anymore, because if, like, people have been kind of hinting, but I think I was kind of missing the hint. Thieves tools, since they now, well, tools can double up with skills, probably don't need expertise. You just noticed the sneak attack nerf? Oh yeah, let's get to that. They kind of double nerfed it. Once on each of your turns, a nerf, because it used to be on someone else's turn, you could get sneak attack again if you opportunity attacked, or if you had like action surge or something and you did like one attack as your action, sneak attack, and then action surge, ready action, another attack for as soon as someone else's turn starts, get them again with the sneak attack. Now it says, okay, it has to be on your turn, and it has to be when you take the attack action, and so it's double, because if you take the attack action, that already implies it's your turn, because you don't use the attack action as an opportunity attack. So that already would have done it, but they made sure to say on your turn, when you take the attack action, double locked it down to say you can only do this on your turn, no other time. This is very deliberate, and I don't know why they chose to do this. It's not a big deal that rogues can do this. They're not the strongest class. They're not doing power attacks and multi-attacks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why. This was always a cool thing you could try to achieve as a rogue. I'm really curious to hear their justification if they ever give it. Not just an attack. So yeah, Booming Blade, as it's written, would not work with sneak attack. You are 100% right there. Thank you for calling that out. It was clarified that crits will function as original and not the way that it was in the previous UA, where it would only be the weapons attack dice. All right, so the other thing is you have to have advantage on the attack roll. That hasn't changed, and this technically changed right here. So it used to be that it said if the person you're attacking, the monster you're attacking, has at least one of its enemies nearby it, you can get sneak attack as you kind of take advantage of that distraction. But now this is a weird technicality. It probably won't ever matter, but I'm going to point it out. They're saying at least one of your allies is within the target. So let's say you're fighting like a 3-way battle, like your party, a pack of wolves, and a troll. The wolves are fighting everyone, the trolls are fighting everyone, and your party is fighting everyone. So it's a ballroom blitz. Technically, could you get sneak attack on the troll if it's surrounded by wolves that are not your ally, but they are enemies to the troll? With this interpretation, no, you could not. They are not your allies. Just gonna point that out. We'll see if it ever becomes a thing or if they walk this back or whatever. Scott, it's odd, as in the D&D video, they said they weren't touching the rogue features, or did I hear? No, you're right. Jeremy Crawford said in their polls for how people, like, because they did all those polls to see how people were already satisfied or dissatisfied with 5e features, he said that people were super satisfied with the rogue. It was like, people don't want it changed. They're satisfied with it. So he was like, we're going to try not to touch it too much because it's very dear to people. They like the rogue and they're very satisfied with it. And then they nerf its like basic stuff. Why? I question everything after that interview, and I came and saw this because I was like, they're going to do it justice. They know that we like the rogue. They're not going to change it. Again, we'll see how it fits into the greater game. That's really all that matters. But right now, with 5e as a reference and just this UA as a reference, not digging it. And I'm very confused about that interview that you're talking about. Hey Timothy, how's it going? I feel you on this. I'm so glad I'm getting validated by all of you. I really appreciate it, because part of me, like, I feel like I became a meme because I was kind of posting on social media and stuff and saying I really don't like what they did with the rogue. I don't like it. But I'm glad that as I bring up my grievances that I feel seen. I guess is what I'm saying. All right, Thieves' Cant, you get another language, not just Thieves' Cant. That's cool. Cunning Action. This pairs well with the new light weapon property, which is nice for melee rogues and kiting. My overall thoughts on the rogue is that a ranged attack crossbow rogue feels pretty nerfed. A melee attack rogue still nerfed because they can't take advantage of the opportunity attacks with sneak attack like they used to, but they do get some new tools. So melee rogues did better than ranged rogues. And that's partially because of the light weapon property, which basically says instead of it being like, so if you're dual wielding, it used to be you needed to use a bonus action to do the offhand attack, right? Now it's built into your attack action. So if you've got 2 light weapons and you use the attack action, you'll do that offhand attack. It won't get the bonus to damage from your abilities modifier, but you can do it and it won't require a bonus action. So that's huge. If dual wielding is going to be that much easier to do, we're going to see dual wielding become a lot more viable is my prediction. And that could be good for rogues because it used to be often a rogues would have like 2 daggers in their hands or 2 short swords, whatever. And if they miss once, that's no sneak attack. So then they could at least do their bonus action attack. Even though they don't get the ability modifier to the damage, they want to get that sneak attack. So they'd get a second chance at the attack. Ranged rogues, they would rely on the 3rd level feature from Tasha's, an optional feature called Steady Aim. They'd use their bonus action to gain advantage, which is great on my current character where I can get Elven Accuracy just by not moving and using Steady Aim as a bonus action. So melee rogues, they don't need Steady Aim because they can just attack twice. So now they don't need their bonus action. They can attack twice. They can still Cunning Action now to disengage and move away. So they can now have that, what used to be kind of like more of a monk fighting style, without even needing like the old mobile feat. They can run up to someone, slash, move away, and then leave whoever they slashed up next against your fighter or barbarian, still going toe-to-toe with them, but they've got this little pot shot rogue jumping in and stabbing them all the time and then running away. Is it worth the trade-off? To me, not yet. Obviously, the rogue needed a nerf. It wasn't considered one of the 3 weakest classes in the game or anything like that. Better nerf it. Loved playing Order Cleric and giving the rogue their extra sneak attack. Yes! Oh, Rohan! Yes. Okay, so the Order Cleric, they could cast like Healing Word or something on your rogue, and then your rogue would love you because you give them a reaction attack to attack someone and get sneak attack. Oh, I didn't even think this far ahead, but all the like class features that allow your allies to make a reaction attack, that's not going to be as tempting for the rogue anymore. Oh, so teamwork is less suited for the rogue now too. I hate it. I hate it. Okay, Rohan, I'm glad you brought that up too. Let the hate flow through me for this change. Rainfall. Well, I wonder if they made this change because they didn't want to balance the rest of the class and the monsters around that higher potential damage output, since new players might not know about it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is this is kind of hidden tech, right? Like new players don't read that and say, oh, well, I can do it on other turns. They just kind of get the gist of it. And it's when you become a more experienced player or you have an experienced player teaching you that you learn, oh, I should try to get reaction attacks on my other turns or on other people's turns. I call it hidden tech. You know, it's not an obvious thing to do. I think you're right. Maybe they are trying to bring down the damage output of player characters in general, or getting rid of options that were kind of hidden. It makes the game less crunchy though. 3rd level. I took a note here just because we lost Steady Aim. That's unfortunate. This was just a great little tool for rogues at low levels to make them less dependent on positioning. Shard did tell me that he didn't like Steady Aim because it didn't go with the narrative that rogues are like always on the move and they're slippery. I also like the thought of a rogue who's like very methodical and gets set up in the right spot. In a sea of battle, they survey their surroundings and they know that they can afford to just sit tight, take a deep breath, and steady their aim and get a deadly shot amongst the chaos. Like, to me, that's also a rogue. And so I love Steady Aim. That's just me. I know not everyone even knew what it was or thought it was narratively interesting, but yeah, that's how I feel. All right, so subclass feature at level 6. I do like that rogues are getting their subclass feature no longer at level 9, holy cow, level 6. So level 3, level 6, and then level 10, level 14. Instead of 3, 9, 13, 17, rogues used to have to wait a long time to get all their features, which is one reason, like, I've been playing a Phantom Rogue and I just got to high levels and I've almost got like the last feature at level 17. But if I play test this material, I'll have it now, like 2 levels ago. Your subclass that you choose is often exciting to you and you want to get those features. And even if you do play to high levels, you don't have a lot of time to use those features before your campaign might be over. So it'd be nice to get those earlier so that even if you do play to high levels, you actually have time to use them. 9th level evasion instead of 7th. Reliable talent. All right, I love reliable talent. One of the things I love about it is if you can find a way to get proficiency bonus added to initiative, then your minimum roll on your initiative is 10 plus whatever your initiative bonus is. Rogues usually rely a lot on positioning, and they rely on ambushes. Not rely, but they like to set up ambushes, which aren't as useful and impactful if you don't have a high initiative. I liked that if you were a Herringon, for example, reliable talent made you have a minimum initiative roll of 10. And you may recall, I was excited with the previous Unearthed Arcana, where they went over a bunch of level 1 feats. One of them was alert, and it made it so you could add proficiency bonus to your initiative. And that excited me. If you watch that, I said, this is a buff to rogue, unless they change reliable talent. You know, like, you could go back and like make a clip of that and like show me so unhappy now. Like the other features I've talked about with like Bardic Jack of all trades, reliable talent now only works with ability checks that are tied to skill or tool proficiencies. Initiative is not a skill proficiency. It is not a tool proficiency. It's just an ability check. Reliable talent will not work with it. Very sad. I don't like that. Just give rogues our high rolls, please. We love it. It's why we do it. 13th level. So this is finally something new and cool for the rogue. They get pack tactics at 13th level. So now you don't just get sneak attack when you're attacking an enemy that is next to your ally, you get advantage on that roll. If Elven Accuracy survives, this is great because you won't need steady aim anymore, but this is 10 levels later than I get steady aim now in 5e, so that's a bummer. I will note that they got rid of the feature rogues had to get, it wasn't blind sense really, but they could like sense invisible creatures nearby. It was a very non-functional feature, to be honest, so I don't mind if they got rid of it, but they didn't give us another way to get blind sense other than like through a feat. Which, by the way, rogues do get 6 feats instead of 5 like most classes do, so they can't afford to take a feat to get blind sense, which we'll get into some of the feats later that allow that. And then Slippery Mind used to just get proficiency in wisdom saving throws, and I was quite happy with that. Now we're throwing in charisma saving throws too. So now a rogue at level 15 is going to be proficient in dex, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. So they're almost like a Diamond Soul monk now, where they get proficiency in all saving throws. If a rogue picks resilient, they'll have 5 saving throw proficiencies. So basically, if my rogue survives to 13th level, I start to get things in the new rogue that I like. Elusive is 1 level sooner, Stroke of Luck is 2 levels sooner, the capstone. And I notice it's if you fail a D20 test, which means now saving throws are included, because it used to just be attack rolls and ability checks that you fail. Now it's if you fail a saving throw, so if you have 4 or 5 saving throw proficiencies, and you have like essentially you could choose almost like a limited legendary resistance. You could choose to just pass. That's cool. This is also interesting because it used to say that you could turn a missed attack into just a hit, but now it says you could turn the roll of the D20 test you failed into a 20. For attacks, does that mean you can auto crit? You can choose to land a critical hit with Stroke of Luck? If so, I love that. I'm liking that. So high level rogue, I like some of these tricks, but the sneak attack, I can't forgive those nerfs. I can't forgive. I cannot forgive. Timothy says, I use magic device is less sexy. Yeah, we're going to scroll down to the thief in just a second and gutted that subclass. If you've watched my video about the thief rogue and how I think people sleep on how cool it is, you'll know I'm very sad. Thief. All right, here we go. So fast hands, it used to do the same thing where you can use your cunning action's bonus action to do sleight of hand, disarm a trap, or pickpocket someone, use thieves tools. But the other part that was most interesting is that it allowed you to use an object as a bonus action. There are a few items in the game like Alchemist's Fire that rely on that action to use them. So that was really cool. Like you could do an attack with a little bomb as a bonus action as a thief rogue. No one else can do that. But now they're saying you can do the search action instead. I'll admit this does feel very thief-ish because you're trying to search and find things. You're a thief. You're just always trying to steal, which I thought they were kind of trying to get away from that annoying archetype of like characters that steal from each other and just steal from NPCs and they're murder hobos. But this also steps on the toes of the Inquisitive Rogue, so I don't think there will be an Inquisitive Rogue unless they completely rework it. I mean, I guess they could have 2 subclasses that both get search action as a bonus action, but I doubt it. So they took out the coolest thing, which is use an object, and they replaced it with search. Not sexy, not cool. Second story worked. It effectively was the same thing. Thanks for clarifying it. Jump distance. This is another thing that is interesting because jump is now an action in this UA. Not all jumps. And this is worth going to that action really quick. So jump, if you want to jump more than 5 feet, you have to use an action to do so. And I think one of the headaches of 5e designers is they've made a mess of jumping rules being shared with your movement. Like they just constantly messed it up and painted themselves in a corner. So now it requires an action to try to jump high or far. and there's a DC for it. The check's total is determined by your roll. I think it's cool. I think this is going to open up design space, and I'm glad they're doing this. Some people would say like jumping is an action now. That's silly. But other systems actually do this, like Pathfinder. So the thief can now, when you take the jump action, you can make a dexterity check instead of a strength check. So instead of doing athletics to jump high, you can use acrobatics. This is better than what the thief had before, but was far from its most useful clutch thing. Supreme Sneak. So it used to be that if you moved half your speed, you could have advantage on stealth. Now it's, if you're not in medium or heavy armor, you just get advantage on, but the new hide action, we got to go look at that now. Okay. So the new hide action. So there's hide and there's hidden. So first, hide as an action actually has a DC. The DC is no longer just the passive perception of your enemies. So this is why I'm wondering if they're going to get rid of passive perception. If you roll a 15 on stealth and you fulfill the requirements to hide, then you are hidden. And now others have to use their action to search to find you or wait for you to reveal yourself. Make note of your check's total because that becomes the DC for a creature to find you with the wisdom check. You want to roll high because that's the DC for people to find you after that. The benefits of being hidden are mostly unchanged, but I like that they hinted at this before with the surprised condition, and now we get the kind of the opposite side of that coin. So if you're surprised, disadvantage on initiative. If you surprise someone and you are hidden, I guess you don't have to surprise them, but if you are hidden, when you roll initiative, you have advantage. This actually could be like the opposite side of the coin where I was saying like reliable talent not being able to ever boost your initiative was a nerf, but also the way hiding works now, there was already a problem that the surprise is kind of ruined if you roll low on initiative. Now you're more likely to roll higher than those you ambush because they have disadvantage and you have advantage on initiative rolls. So maybe losing reliable talent's possible synergy with initiative is okay. Maybe. Having advantage on your dexterity stealth checks is good because you want a high stealth DC, just like before, which may or may not be tied to passive perception opposing you anymore. Tied to an action to seek you out, that's a buff to rogue. We'll see if it works out that way. Well, actually, a lot of the times your rogue, you build it in such a way that you are already going to have a higher stealth than people's passive perception. Maybe it's not a buff, maybe it's pretty minor because you probably already are going to force them to make a search to find you, or you're just going to reveal yourself as you attack or something before they even get the chance. So I'm not going to call that a buff. I'm not even like a maybe buff. I'm going to call that a neutral. Here's the other thing that got gutted. So use magic device. They made this a lot clearer in what it is and what it does, but it's weaker. It's just worse. Except for this part. You can attune to up to 4 magic items at once. Yay! You get 1 more magic item if you have them. This part is a big nothing burger. Whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges, so like a wand, where it's like 6 charges to do these things, roll a d6, on a roll of 6, you use the property without expending the charges. This is good if you're using a wand where you have like 6 charges and you can use like 5 of them to do something big, like a cone of cold or something, and then you can keep all the charges. Like that's cool, but usually not a huge deal. Yeah, Fallen Phoenix, it's cool but unreliable. And then this part with the scrolls, if you read my article about the Thief Rogue, they already could do this with spell scrolls. They already could. You could always get expertise in Arcana. They made it so you can't just like use a Paladin's Holy Avenger. So like a rogue can use a Holy Avenger in 5e, but now you can't ignore stuff like that. Thieves reflexes. So thieves used to get at level 17 was in the first round of combat, they got 2 turns. One was their regular initiative turn, and then the second, their regular initiative -10. So they could get potentially 2 reactions and 2 actions in the first round of combat. Your first turn, you attack someone, and then if someone provokes an opportunity attack from you, you use your reaction. Your second turn comes up 10 initiative points later, and you use your action again on your turn to attack. You do sneak attack again, and then maybe you get another opportunity attack because your reaction recharges on your turn. And so basically you could potentially as a thief in 5e at level 17, possibly 4 attacks with sneak attack in the first round of combat, which was pretty cool. Or you could do a lot of other cool stuff with it. What we have here, I think is also cool, but definitely not as good. So Thief's Reflexes. Second bonus action on your turn, provided it is the bonus action from Cunning action. So if you have other ways to use your bonus action that would normally compete with your Cunning action, you can now do both, as long as one of them is your Cunning action that you're using on your turn. You could be super fast with this. It's not useless. Like, I think it's cool. It's being compared to what it used to be for the Thief's capstone of getting 2 turns in the first round of initiative. It pales in comparison to that. And also, you can't do this every turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus before you have to long rest. I think it should just be you can always do it. What would you have liked to see on the rogue? Were you hoping for anything specific? Good question, Max. I did get what I wanted in that they've compressed the subclass features to be obtained sooner. But I don't know why they nerfed sneak attack in like 3 different ways. I didn't want them to gut the thief, but I kind of thought they might because I think they stink at crafting and like robust magic, or not magic items, robust item systems. I think my main goal was, Max, is I didn't want them to nerf anything in the rogue, but maybe just give them a few other tricks up their sleeve and make their subclasses get their features sooner. I'd say that's all I was hoping for. I usually don't go in with a lot of expectations. There I have presented my thesis for everyone on why I think the rogue has been pretty nerfed, though it did have some give and take, but overall I'm very unhappy with it, especially the thief. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know. Please, I want to know, does everyone agree? Is anyone like, I didn't care for the rogue before and I think it's just like the same off? Let me know what you think.